So my name is TJ. I'm a young person in long-term recovery. For me, that means I haven't had a drink or a drug since August 9th, 2016. I'm here hosting the Recovery Matters podcast with
Alexis Nicole.
I am so grateful to have you on. Apparently we connected through social media. I heard you have an amazing story. I'm glad I only know a portion of it now because I would like to hear more of your story today. Want to tell me what life was like growing up for you?
So life for me was pretty much the typical middle-class family with a single mom. I grew up with my mom and my great aunt who took care of me, but we all lived together in the same house. Nice house, family who had money. So you would think that I was going to be on the right path. I was supposed to go to the good schools, and because my aunt was a teacher, she put me kind of like in Hartford public schools.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where things didn't really work well for me because I was I was overweight. Two, I was super smart. And so because I was above, in the class, you get picked on, you get bullied on. It wasn't like now where they have like the no bully zone. So just a little average, little chubby, nerdy girl reading books.
Yep. So you kind of felt like you kind of felt like not a part of, right? Like a square peg in a round hole?
Yeah, I didn't have friends. I didn't have anybody really to talk to. I had like one neighborhood friend
Okay.
that I would go to her house sometimes up the street, but she went to like Watkinson or one of those.
Yep.
So like it was just like two completely different lifestyles, but we would connect playing hopscotch and chalk and all that other stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about getting into drugs and alcohol. What was that like?
Yeah, so my mom worked a lot, but in the house there was a bar, like a whole rec room in the basement. They used to have parties. It was just their average thing wasn't like, that toxic. But because I was always home with just my elderly aunt, she was never really watching me because I'm the nerdy girl. I'm reading books, so she thought. So I'd be in the basement sneaking with my friend or two, sipping on a little, liquor. And that's what kind of led me to being the exposure of having alcohol at like maybe 10 or 11.
Yep.
Yeah. And then my mom was a smoker. So that kind of is how you sneak a little cigarette here or there. But it wasn't too much. It was just here and there. But it was something that kind of excited me a lot. And I think because I was kind of bored, that kind of led me to want to just explore. Yeah.
Do you feel like you were kind of like looking for something to like get you outside of yourself?
No, I just thought it was just something to sneak and do. It wasn't like I was looking for a high or a buzz.
Okay.
But I think that it was just it being in the house, it was just more common to just want to try because it was there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Fast forward just a little bit. So you've experimented, you kind of like enjoying it. At what point are you like really taken off?
Okay, so where my whole life changed was when I had an older cousin who was adopted, who used to come over and he would molest me. So that opened the door for me to be interested in boys.
Okay.
Which then led to me being on back in the 90s. They had those chat lines, those hotlines. There wasn't the internet DMs, but you get on the line and everybody be on there talking, and then you could do like a side room. And so that's how I would meet different men, like 18 and older, 20, 25, 30. And I would be like 12 or 13. So then from there, it kind of escalated into me smoking weed because now I'm like a teenager.
Yep.
I'm meeting different people. I wasn't really having sex with them, but I just wanted to go.
Okay.
And so just smoking weed, drinking. But that really was when I kind of decided that this is the lifestyle that I kind of want to live.
And you knew you like were kind of going down this path that might be bad and difficult, but you wanted to continue it. You liked the way that it made you feel.
I liked the way that it made me feel, but I also liked the company that came with it.
Okay.
And so instead of being at home alone, now I'm with my friends. I have friends now. I have people, older people that I can hang with that wanted to drink, wanted to smoke. So it was their influence plus just having a new community of people that kind of just drew me in. Yeah.
When did you think it kind of started to go like towards a problematic direction for you?
So problematic, I would say, was when I was in high school. So I met an older guy coming home from school one day and who ended up being my daughter's father.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was older and he was like into selling drugs. He was into the fast life, street life. So I really fell into that with him because he had drugs around the house, like cocaine, crack cocaine, and he would have more access to better types of weed, liquor, alcohol. So from there, being in that relationship and him just controlling me, I didn't really have the access as though I wanted to, but I knew that it was going to be my doorway to get all the way through.
Yep.
So we went through a domestic violence situation where we broke up and he was stalking me, chasing me down, fighting me, all these different type of things. I think he knew that once I got that through the door, I was gone. And when I was gone, that's how I fell into. I was like, well, I got to work, so let me sell drugs. So then I started selling drugs, which was fun. You know, I getting money, I had my daughter, I had my place. But, you know, being 19 years old at the time, I didn't really realize what I was really getting myself into. It was a lifestyle that I wasn't prepared for before. It was with my child's father. So he kind of was guarding me with different things. Now it's just me out here doing what I want to do. And so that is how I fell into using ecstasy.
Okay.
So I was like, went from alcohol, weed, then to the ecstasy. Ecstasy was great for me. Like, I party, still go to work, still be able to do things I wanted to do. I think for that, though, it started to give me headaches to where I couldn't really function the next day. If you've ever used it, you know you'll be out for like 2 days. And I couldn't keep up with that because, like, I still had to be among myself, things to do. I needed something that was going to keep me going. So I knew I couldn't keep doing the ecstasy thing. So then I went over to Molly's. Because with the Molly's, this is like a 24-hour thing. And then after you come down off your high, you're good. So fast forward, I had a friend I was selling drugs with, and he was using PCP.
Okay.
So I used to be like, let me use it, let me smoke. He'd be like, no, you don't need this, And it was just so interesting to me to see, you know, how he gets high and he's hallucinating and all that. So I was like, I want to try that. So I would try it here and there, but it wasn't really like a situation where I could get it on my own. So anyways, he gets into a situation where he gets deported and goes to Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I have his phone which has all the connects. I have the plugs so I can get the crack. And so now I'm selling drugs on my own. I'm hustling, and now I have the PCP I can get. So that's where everything just changed for me with the PCP.
When you first smoked PCP, was it like love at first, like
It
hit?
was.
Okay.
It was love at first sight because it gives you that high. Like you're in La La Land somewhere, and then you come back down, and then you're like, okay, oh shit, what just happened?
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was because I didn't really have access in the beginning. I would only have it here and there, and it'd be like I'm searching for something that I could never really find. But it was like I said, when my friend got deported, it was like all go, here we go, I'm ready. So yeah.
It was that true escape that you were looking for.
It was the true escape. But it really put me in a lot of dangerous situations that I feel I wish I just never would have even used it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that. I wouldn't take everything back because it gave me the life that I have today. But I understand completely what you're talking about, specifically with like dangerous situations. And like for me, you know, like copping in Hartford all the time and like being in the dope spot and like, you know, like there's a lot of guns and drugs and it's a very tense situation and you're just trying to get something.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for me, you have like different levels. I call it levels, where, you know, when you're smoking weed, you're with the weed heads.
Yep.
You do e-pills, you're kind of with the freaks. You like to chill with guys. You can have sex, you have parties, orgies, whatever you want to do. But using PCP is a whole nother world. I call it like the upper room. It's like the dark world. It's all different types of people. You'd be surprised who really uses it. But it brings you, like I always just say, it puts a dark cloud over you so that even though you're using it today, this cloud is just following you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at what point did you look at your life and say, hey, this might be too much for me? Or like, hey, I think I need to make a change here?
So I would say, honestly, it took a long time because you have to understand I'm young. I'm in my early 20s. I'm the star of the show everywhere I go. You know, we buy out the bar. We're doing all these things. So I had many moments where this was great. I'm dating different guys. I'm traveling. You know, me and my friends, we're dressed. That's great and cool. But then I started to notice there were situations where like I would black out.
Okay.
And so I had one of the first times I noticed that this might be a problem was when I decided I was going to go out. I was going to go to the club. I was by myself. I was like, yeah, I'm going to find somebody tonight. I'm going to shack up with them. Like, let's get it. It was just one of those nights. Got dressed up. I'm cute. I'm ready.
Yep.
I copped some weed. copped a few e-pills because I was like, if I find a dude, I'm gonna make him use it. We're gonna have sex all night. Like that was just my mindset. But then I got the dust too.
Okay.
So I get in the car. I'm parked on Main Street in Hartford at a nightclub. It's Main Tower. Roll up my list. I'm gonna do the Matrix. I'm not gonna just smoke the dust. I'm gonna just do weed and the PCP.
Okay.
Big no. I roll up the blunt. I light the piece. I start the car, and now I'm gonna be driving around. So I remember coming out of the parking lot of the club.
Yes.
I'm like running through these projects, like just running, and it went from smoking to now I realize I'm running. Then I noticed I only have one shoe on. Then I'm like, wait a minute, where's the car? Then I went from, well, where's the car? Why do I only have one shoe on? To, holy shit, what just happened? So the first thing I thought was go home. So I ran home because I lived nearby. So I ran home. I had to break into my house because I didn't have the keys. Changed my clothes, put on like a hoodie and some pants, and because I kept hearing the police sirens. So I was like, you, and I'm like, oh God. So something said, go back around where you came and see what happened. And I crashed my car into somebody's vehicle, and I just hopped out the window and ran.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad. I woke up the next day, like, didn't have a car.
Yep.
Drugs are gone, ID gone, everything's gone, and my kids were actually at my mom's.
Okay.
So this was the first time that she found out that something was going on with me. So when I went over there, knocked on the window because I couldn't get in the house. My daughter ends up like opening the door for me. I'm like, thank God. Go upstairs, and my mom's like, what's wrong with you? And this was the first time that I ended up losing my speech behind using PCP.
Okay.
So I can't even talk. Like, how did I go from overnight to now and I realizing I couldn't talk, but I couldn't talk. So I had no speech. It was like baby, blah, blah. So my mom calls 911 on me. I'm like, Ma. I'm like trying to tell her, don't call them. Like, I'm fine. Just let me sleep this off. But I couldn't communicate that. She calls 911. Now I got to go to the hospital. And now she finds out that I'm using PCP.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter's father was pissed. My whole family was pissed because I don't come from a family that uses drugs or, abuses alcohol. So they're like, what is wrong with you? Like, what's going on? So that was like the first time I found out that there may be a problem, but I kind of really didn't connect it with it was the PCP was the actual problem.
Okay, so you were like, it's, might be a couple of things or this or that, but like my drug use isn't the problem.
I was in denial. I think coming from a community of where I come from,
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to smoke weed. It's cool to drink. It's cool to be outside selling drugs. Like that was just the normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you normalize those things, I think a lot of times you don't realize that, no, this is actually not normal and this is a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like high functioning, where I'm still working. Okay. I'm still being a mom, well, to my best of capabilities, but I have this thing that I do when I do it. But then with the PCP, it went from just the weekends to every day.
Okay.
And that's why I've learned so much about PCP awareness, because a lot of people really just don't know. It's super addictive. And I've also learned that your tolerance level goes like through the roof. So I went from just smoking, a bag or two to buying a bundle. And I'm really not even getting high like how I used to. So I would just smoke from different people anywhere I could get it just to get high every single day. Mm-hmm. And just like my hair was falling out, my bones were hurting, my teeth were breaking. I think it's from the chemicals that they dip the leaves in that was really just eating my body. I would lose my speech. Mm-hmm. It would come back. I'd lose it again. I'd be stuttering. One time I was actually like almost like I was going blind, like I couldn't see. My eyes were so dry because I'd just been up for days. Mm-hmm. And I would use like eye drops to try to like get the moisture in my eyes. But it was a real thing for me. It was a real thing.
Yeah. When did you decide to make a change in your life?
So deciding to make a change fell into my lap. Mm-hmm. I went from, like I said, using here and there, using every day. My mom passed away, and that kind of put me into a depressive state.
Yep.
To where I would just get up, barely eat. I had lost so much weight. I was like 145, maybe 50 pounds. And for me, that's like, you look like you got cancer or something. Like it was that bad. And I became homeless.
Okay.
When I became homeless, me and my kids had to split up. Mm-hmm. They went with their dad, and I was just out on the streets. And from there, it was like, go to a shelter. Okay, I'm fine for 30 or 40 days, and then I'll be back smoking again. So where it truly became a problem and how I got help was I had been just walking the streets of Hartford for like maybe a few weeks. I would stay here and there, anywhere. And then one day I was supposed to meet a friend at the soup kitchen. And this is how she saved my life. She was like, oh, meet me at the soup kitchen. It's over here on the street. I'm like, girl, I don't be going to soup kitchens. Like, you think you're better than certain things. And went there. She didn't show. Now it's raining. And I'm like, where the fuck am I going to go? Make a long story short, I asked the pastor who was running the soup kitchen, like, hey, do you have a place that I can go anywhere? I don't care where it is. He's like, I think I got a place for you. He's like, you just got to let him know that you drink or something. I was like, well, I do drink, sure. I found out it's the Salvation Army Rehabilitation Center.
Okay.
Yeah. It was trippy because it was like, okay, they asked you for your ID, then they asked you for this, they asked you for that. I'm like, okay. They're like, oh, yeah, we need your phone. And then they're like, okay, you can't leave for 28 days. And I'm like, this is kind of weird, but I had been in the shelter before, so I thought that's what it was. They never really explained that this is a rehab.
Yeah.
So then, like, the first day they let you chill, and then they're like, oh, yeah, you got to get up in the morning, you got to go to group, and then you have to go here, and then you have to go to the warehouse. And I'm like, okay, and then day 1, day 30, okay, now I'm sober, yay. And then when I started listening to, like, the NA and AA meetings, it kind of clicked.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, at first I was really like, well, I don't do crack, I don't do this, I don't do that. But then when I would hear the stories from people in AA and NA, I'm like, holy shit, like, our lives are literally the same. The stuff that I've done, you've done, doesn't matter the drug. And that's when I kind of took accountability to say, I actually have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about 30 days in, 45 days in, you're like, I'm ready and willing to make this change.
I think, yes, in the essence of, like, I wanted to get out and be successful, meaning get my kids, get an apartment. So I was willing to do whatever that took. I wasn't really 100% okay with not using anything because I'm still trying to figure out a way. A lot of times we do that. We can figure out a master plan. I think what really pushed me to really take the true acceptance is when I met my husband, who was in the program. So we became friends. I was fraternizing is what they call it in the program, talking to some of the guys. So I was dating one guy, but I was friends with my husband, who's my husband now.
Yep.
And we would just hang out. We would talk about God. We would leave the premises, of course, and be, hanging out, do all this stuff. And so I broke up with my boyfriend that was in the program, and then we started dating.
Okay.
So I got pregnant.
Okay.
Within, like, this was maybe like me 5 or 6 months in the program, and maybe a month or 2 with me and my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. He wasn't even a boyfriend. He was just like the thing for now, I would say. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm pregnant now, so either keep the baby and stay sober at least for the 9 months. And so that was kind of what I did.
Mm-hmm. And they let you stay there pregnant?
They never knew.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They never knew. They know now, of course, but they never knew. Yeah, they didn't even know we were together. We hit it pretty good. Like, we wouldn't talk in the program. It was we would just know when we were going to leave, and then we would meet, and then we would come up with a plan of how we were going to meet again. But, yeah, I did the whole program. I think it was about 11 months.
Okay.
So at the time when I left the program, maybe it was like 6 or 7 months.
Okay, so you leave this program, you go to, like, you get an apartment?
I got an apartment. I had a job. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he had a job. He was actually working at the Salvation Army.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? We got this far. Like, I understand that me using drugs is going to always put me in a bad place. And so I just thought from, like, a logical standpoint, like, okay, I know that if I use this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think, too, because I'd already been almost sober like a year.
Okay.
It was like, okay, what would really be the point in going back?
Yeah, you made it this far, right?
I made it this far, and I got a new baby, and I had my kids, his kids, and it was just like, yeah, we can't do this anymore.
You got a whole family.
I got a whole family out of it, yeah.
So you're on the recovery journey. Things are going pretty well. So I know you do a lot of amazing things right here in the Hartford community.
Yeah.
How did you, so sober a year, got an apartment. Tell me that journey of, like, building your recovery and, like, getting into the things you're in today.
I think most of it was really hard. So let me say that first. Like, it was never easy. Okay. The program sucked. The people were mean. Like, it was not an easy journey. It was just kind of a thing that I just was doing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing this today. I might as well do it tomorrow.
Yep.
But I think when I got out in the community is when life really hits you and you have problems, you have issues. Mm-hmm. And I realized that, okay, I need to see someone, like, as far as a therapist. Okay. Because that's going to be the one that can help me through my emotions and help me not to use. Because normally you would just use and then you feel better, but the problem will still be there. So now I'm having problems, whatever it could be. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now I need to get somebody to talk to. So that was the first step. The second step was getting a pardon because I've been in jail, because that was what was going to help me to be able to get a better job. And then I think church was one of the major things that kind of kept me grounded, because I had my church family that was able to just be a support. And even if they necessarily didn't understand the drug use, they understood that I just needed help, and whatever that was that I would need help with, they were willing to do that. So between the combination of that and my kids depending on me, it kind of is what pushed me to just want to give back. And so that's why I was like, I want to find a job to help someone that made me help, that was in the same shoes that I was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about getting into the field.
So getting in the field was just like a fluke. I've been one of those people that hop from job to job to job. Mm-hmm. So I've worked everywhere in the world. But within the last maybe 3 or 4 years, it was like, okay, I need to find something that I can actually do long term and not just be impulsive and just leave. And I knew that it had to align with what I'm passionate about. Yep. And recovery is what I'm passionate about. And I thought that it would be easy because I'm passionate about it. Okay. So I just on a whim was like, okay, I'm just going to look on Indeed, see what I can find. Ended up getting a job at Wheeler Clinic.
Nice.
Did that for a while. I was like a recovery coach. So that was really cool to be able to help people, especially because most people I was helping was people that I already knew from just being in Hartford. So that was what really just landed me in the whole journey of wanting to just work in recovery.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So you get your first job in recovery. You probably love it right away, right? I
loved it. I think no one ever really tells you that, you need to space your personal life and your boundaries. So it was me just jumping in, like wanting to help everyone, wanting to even go outside of what I'm supposed to do to help. And I think that's what kind of was starting to burn me out.
Yep.
Because, people be calling my work phone at like 3 a.m. and I'm nervous, like, oh my God, are they ODing or like something's happening? I've been on the phone with people for hours, you know how it is.
Yes.
So I had to learn over time that I have to have time for me. Mm-hmm. I have to have a support at work that I can be able to vent to and talk to about my caseloads, and, know when to not cross the line, and also let people know like what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah, that's really good. I still remember the first person I ever worked with.
Really?
Oh, yeah. A great story. Young guy. Mm-hmm. He had overdosed in a porta potty at work.
Okay.
And he obviously got fired, mm-hmm. and they brought him to the hospital. And I remember like pulling up and being like, because you kind of, like for me, I was trying to make that identification with you and like, get into the recovery field and stuff. And like, I pull up, I'm like, about a year and a half sober, got my first job as a recovery coach. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say to this person, right? Mm-hmm. And then I pulled up and I, just started talking to him. And I said something to him about like, he really didn't want to talk to me. And I said, hey, listen, dude, like, recovery is like the number one, mm-hmm. right? You can put anything behind it and grow that number one into a million, mm-hmm. right? But if you take away that number one, you have a bunch of zeros. You have nothing.
Nothing, right? Absolutely.
And he called me the next day and was like, dude, what you said to me, mm-hmm. ready and willing to do whatever it takes. And
it's so true. And then I had also learned that what's important is really taking the person as if it's your first one.
Yes.
Because if I start looking at it like based upon, my productivity or my results, you're going to always mess it up every time. So I look at it like this is the one. And I got that concept from my pastor.
Okay.
Because I gave him so much hell, but he never gave up.
Yep.
He didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but he just knew never to give up on me. And so that's how I look at every single person that I help. It's like, this may be the one, this may be my fruit. This may be the one that I can really help make a change. And whether I do or not, it's not up to me, but it's up to me to just give my all.
I've never heard that before. I've heard a lot of like the recovery coaches. That's really, really good. I'm taking that with me today.
Yeah, you should. Absolutely. Yeah, no, for real. And it's so important to really remember who you used to be.
Okay.
Because, sometimes you'll get these cases and you'll be like, bro, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I had to realize, like, how many times were people probably saying that about me? They might not have said to my face, but I know that they were talking about me. And I have to realize that they're still a human being.
Yeah.
That they still have an opportunity for change. And just like me, it took me almost a decade to really get it together once it got bad.
Yep.
So imagine how long it may take for someone else. It may take 12 years, 15, 20, like who knows but it may just be that one time that they need in order to get it right.
Yeah, that's a really really good point, and like I do like as working as a recovery coach, I love the people that are like half in, half out. Those are my people,
Yeah.
right? Because I was that person, right? And like I make that identification with you talking about sitting in the Salvation Army, and like for me, like first 30, 40, 60 days of recovery, I'm sitting in that meeting and I'm like looking up at the clock and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait till they take their eyes off me because I'm going to drink again. I'm never going to do heroin or cocaine again.
Right.
You're doing
do
that
something. Find something you can do.
anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not committed. But like I had to like let recovery work for me a little bit. Right? I had to just put enough in,
Right.
and like and then recovery became fruitful and like it wasn't that magical white light experience
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's like it was like one day I woke up and my first thought wasn't drugs or alcohol. I thought about it later on in the day, but it was
Right.
like, recovery's not
I
so
could do
bad.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And too, just the concept as well of like, I've learned that no matter what, I want to live.
I
Like,
that.
to be honest, and I had this conversation like to myself in a fetal stage, like just crying. Like, if I'm going to live, like, I'm going to either live or I'm going to die. Like, I don't want to be in between. I'm
Okay.
tired of just chasing this thing. So it's either I'm going to live and I'm going to live fruitfully, live healthy, live, sober free, or just take me out of here because there's no point in just continually staying in this middle ground, this middle unknown gray area. So that's what really helped me to just be like, I can actually have a different life. Like, I've never had this life. I guess it's just like born again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just, I never thought I would be here. Never thought I'd be married. Never thought I own my own house because it was never an actual, not a goal, but it was never even a thought in my brain to like actually have a normal life.
That's really cool. Tell me about your normal life today.
Work.
Okay.
I work crazy hours. Then when I'm with my kids, we turn up, we have fun, we travel.
Yep.
I do stuff with my husband. I do stuff in the community.
It's awesome.
And it's just, I'm enjoying myself. Like, I think that this is the first time I could say I'm like happy, just being sad all these years and just never knowing what today was going to bring. Now I know each day I can be confident that my day is going to be all right.
Yeah. No matter what, right?
No matter what comes my way. I've already dealt with the difficult stuff. Like, what else could really come this way to take me out?
Yes. And like we were talking about, I run a young people's group.
Oh, cool.
On Thursday nights down in Willimantic. That was one of the things we were talking about last night is that like things happen in recovery, but things happen when I was out there too. Right? Like when I was out there, my cousin overdosed and died.
Okay.
And I was like, got really messed up and went to the funeral and it was like embarrassing for my parents and like, that whole thing. Right. And then when I was sober, my grandfather died. And that was the complete opposite, right? I drove out to New Haven and I sat with him in the hospital and I went there and I did all these things for him and like got him his peanut M&Ms, and then like when he passed away, like I was sad, but I wasn't like, it wasn't like this personal thing that had happened to me. And my thought was, how can I love my family and support my mother through losing this person in her life, right? It's that you let go of this selfish, self-centered ways, right? Where you talked about like in your story, it's like, you were willing to put whatever like as long as you got drugs and alcohol, right? Like that was it, right? Like that was the selfish piece of it. And I understand, like I was willing to do the same thing, and then today it's, as a mother, as a wife, as a member of the church, right? As a person who is heavily involved in the Hartford recovery community here and like the leader that you are, right? Like, no, like that's the opposite of selfish.
Right.
Right.
And I think it's, putting yourself to the side sometimes, and it's not about you. And also considering how other people feel. Like, I never used to consider how people feel. I didn't give a fuck. Like, it was all about me.
Yep.
I'm the star of the show, and I'm going to make you remember me. And so I can turn that into a positive, but not to really look for anything in return. It's just, I'm going to make you remember me.
I like that. If you met somebody who walked into this room and is struggling today, what do you think the best piece of advice or support or encouragement you could give to them would be?
Take the day as it comes. I think when you look at wanting to have everything in control, that's when you're going to mess up. But just look at it like whatever comes today is going to be today, and tomorrow will be tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.